Member, Mr. Johnson, for his opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the witnesses for your appearance today. Special shout out to former Speaker Newt Gingrich from the great state of Georgia. Professor Gingrich, good to see you. Of the many troubling actions the Trump administration has taken in its first 71 days, among the most damaging are his authoritarian, dictatorial, and unprecedented use of presidential power to instill fear, intimidate, exact revenge against, and punish those who dare to stand up to him and hold him accountable to the laws of our nation. A climate of fear and trepidation has descended upon the nation. The people of America are more afraid today for our democracy and for their personal safety than ever in our lifetimes. College students have disappeared off the streets paramilitary style by plainclothes, mask-wearing individuals and held incognito for days before they are discovered thousands of miles away in some private for-profit ICE detention facility. Why? For exercising their free speech First Amendment rights. Universities, bastions of free thought, have been punished for having the wrong ideology by having their federal funding revoked. And major law firms that dared to have brought cases against King Trump have been targeted with blatantly unconstitutional executive orders that, if allowed to stand, would shut those law firms down. Unfortunately, mega law firms Paul Weiss and Skadden Arps chose to settle with the king by pledging to represent pro bono only those persons and causes that the king approved of. Shame on them. Then there are other law firms that have stood up to King Trump, and they have challenged his executive orders against them in court, and they have won. Kudos to the lawyers at Perkins Coie, Covington and Burling, and Jenner and Block, among others, for standing up for themselves and for the rule of law and for our democracy. Although federal courts have consistently ruled against these numerous unconstitutional executive orders of President Trump, the mere existence of these retaliatory executive orders should be chilling to all of us. There has been no semblance of due process or fairness in any of these cases. Trump acts first, he deports first, he revokes funding first, he blacklists law firms first, and then questions anyone who challenges him later. Somehow, in spite of this, we are here today to talk about the, quote, overreach, end quote, of the federal courts, not the overreach of the executive branch official who is doing the overreaching. Our Republican colleagues want us to believe that simply because the courts are exercising their Article III power of equitable relief to temporarily halt some of Trump's most excessive executive actions, it is a sign of rot in our judicial system, that it is somehow our courts and judges, not the president, who have gone rogue and are overreaching. I disagree, but more importantly, so do the numbers. Since day one of his second term, Trump has attempted to rework our constitutional system of government through presidential fiat, issuing a record 107 executive orders in his first 71 days in office. As I mentioned, many of these executive orders are unlawful or unconstitutional, and the president does not have the power to change the Constitution through executive order, even if his name is Donald Trump. Naturally, they have been challenged in court, and of the over 150 cases filed against the Trump administration, judges have ruled against him 46 times. Of those 46, only 17 are nationwide injunctions. The cases are spread across district courts throughout the country, and judges appointed by Democrat and Republican presidents have all ruled against Donald Trump. What we are seeing playing out in courts across the country today is the judicial system working exactly as it should. America's federal courts have been handed case after case, challenging executive orders standing on questionable legal footing. And yet, the proportionally small number of nationwide injunctions shows the restraint exhibited by the judges considering those cases. I don't know what Donald Trump thought would happen when the cases made their way to the judicial branch, but clearly he has had enough with losing in court. Instead of letting the rule of law play out, Trump and his allies here in Congress now have chosen to go on the attack. Trump and his cronies have called federal judges rogue and corrupt. A judge it was suggested that a judge supports terrorists, and they've called judicial rulings judicial coups. MAGA Republicans in Congress have called for judges to be impeached, not because they committed a high crime or misdemeanor, but simply because they ruled against Trump. And far-right media personalities have attacked the judges' families, publicizing their personal information for millions of their riled-up followers on social media. What I had just described is nothing less than a full-scale assault on our entire judicial system, and it is putting judges, their family, and their staff lives at risk. We don't agree on much on this committee, but we should be able to agree that this is wrong, and we should be able to agree to back away from language demonizing the judicial branch, no matter what political party we belong to. Today's hearing is not just about helping Donald Trump undermine the judicial branch, though, well, let me say that this hearing is not just about helping Donald Trump undermine the judicial branch, though certainly it is about that. But Republicans on this committee are sending a message to anyone who dares to stand up to Donald Trump. If you step out of line, they will target you next. We cannot afford to allow what Donald Trump is doing through retaliatory executive orders, through targeting immigrants, through threatening lawyers, through vilifying judges, to become the normal. Our Constitution is being tested, and throughout American history, it has stood up to attempts to weaken its protections. Americans across the country are watching, and they know they didn't vote for Trump to destroy our democracy. They voted for Trump because he promised to lower the cost of living, and Trump has betrayed their trust. Prices are going up, and our economy is headed towards recession as co-President Musk threatens to take away people's Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP benefits, and veterans care. Trump is doing nothing to deliver on the promises to the American people. I stand with my fellow Americans, with the federal judges who continue to bravely do their jobs in the face of criticism, and I yield back.
I now recognize